to the Glow Up Girl podcast. I am Kyra. All right, so let's go ahead and dive into our conversation with Diann. So welcome to the Glow Up Girl podcast.
I have really been looking forward to reconnecting with you, Kyra.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Yes. Talk about like a kindred spirit. Our conversation that we had. So we talked, maybe, was it like a month and a half ago? But
it seems like it was just yesterday, but we couldn't get enough of each other. It was awesome.
I know. And I definitely left that conversation with you. And I was like, wow. Like, I love her. So I heard her definitely. Yay. So I'm so glad that I'm able to bring you before my audience to share, because I think you're awesome.
Thank you.
Let's go ahead and dive in. Why don't you tell the audience about yourself and what you do?
I am a no BS therapist turned coach, and I work with female entrepreneurs who have lots and lots of ideas and goals and plans, but they're not reaching them all the time. I like to say they're driven, but distracted. Sound like anybody you know?
Oh, it's so funny because I literally just saw like the squirrel chasing a ball and thought of myself from the beginning.
You know what? I think it's such a wonderful time to be a female entrepreneur, but let's face it, Kyra, there are so many people out there saying, you need this, you need that, buy this, buy that, join this, join that, do this, do that, that a lot of us are working really hard, spinning our wheels and just not getting anywhere. And that's not okay, because there are fabulous women out there that need to get their gifts into the world where people can connect with them.
Exactly. And they need someone like you. So that is one of the things when we spoke. And then even like just looking at your website and looking at what you offer, that stuck out to me. So it's this whole idea around get unstuck, stop spinning, and lose the overwhelm. Like when I read that, like that was like a lot of bells and whistles went on, because, you know, as an entrepreneur, like a lot of those things struck with me. So let's first talk about what that looks like. You know, we think we have an idea of what that looks like in everyday life, but for entrepreneurs, what do those things look like?
Well, let me give you some examples, Kyra, of some of my current clients. What would be very typical is by the time somebody finds me, some of them are brand new entrepreneurs. Some of them are just getting started, just coming out of corporate. They have a great idea. They've got a little bit of traction on the tires. Maybe they've got a little bit of a social media following going on, but they haven't taken the leap and they need guidance, support, and accountability to get there. What's more typical, though, for the clients I work with is that they have 1, 2, 3, 4 different businesses or business ideas, or they have a half-formed business and a fully formed business, and they're trying to do them both. And I think you can have 2 businesses at once, but you can't develop and grow and stabilize 2 businesses at once. So one of them has got to reach that point of maturity that you can end up delegating, outsourcing, hiring people to help you run it. And then you can start the other one. If you're trying to start 2 businesses from the get-go at the same time, neither one of them is going to be getting enough love from you. You are going to be spreading yourself 6 ways from Sunday and just spinning your wheels and getting nowhere. And a lot of people end up burning out. And these are some of the most brilliant, creative, purpose-driven women I've ever met. So it's like, okay, we got to slow your roll and unwind that clock and simplify things, because I have ADHD. A lot of my clients do. And when you have ADHD, and sometimes when you don't, there's a lot of shiny object syndrome going on.
Yes.
And frankly, there's a lot of shiny objects out there. So they're all being dangled in front of us. Do this, buy this, try this, and you need this. And everybody has FOMO. So we
Mm-hmm.
jump on the bandwagon. I don't know how many bandwagons you can be on at the same time. But my clients tend to be like, oh, I'm trying to grow my podcast, and I'm trying to grow my Instagram, and I'm trying to fill my
Mm-hmm.
membership site, and I'm trying to grow my blog. And it's like, do you have a team? No, it's just me. And I'm like, oh yeah, you're going down pretty soon if you haven't already. You got to simplify. You are a hard driving entrepreneur too, but we have limits, and nobody wants to hear that because they think it means they're not doing it right. That's not what it means. Their expectations are too high.
Well, and it's the culture. It's our culture that has given us this like idea that when you're like hustle and grind. I mean, like if you're not like just staying up all night all the time, and I'm gonna, like call myself out because I do, go hard, but people have just been made to feel like if you're not spending every waking second working in your business or like, depriving yourself of like rest or self-care that you need, that means you're not doing anything. And that's where it's sort
or
of
not
like
doing
that.
enough.
Exactly. So I can only imagine, having one business, but if you're the women that you're helping come to you and they already have like ideas like for 2 businesses, like 3 businesses. So what do you do? Like, how do you help what's your process for helping them to simplify?
Well, I think sometimes you've heard the expression, sell them what they want and give them what they need. I don't like how manipulative that sounds, but I do understand the point. And I think people like me who have a lot of creativity, a lot of energy, a lot of drive, we think we're looking for someone who will tell us there's a way that you can do all the things. Especially if someone is like marketing themselves as a productivity coach. And someone will say, yeah, I need a productivity coach, because what they're thinking, Kyra, is that, oh, this lady is going to teach me how to be more efficient at doing all the things. No, honey, that's not what I'm going to help you with. What I'm going to help you with is to determine which things you should actually be doing and double down on them and remove all the rest. Now, that's probably got some people already going, uh-oh. Because once we're doing things, we have this notion that we need to keep doing them. I guarantee you.
Yeah.
Every entrepreneur that I start working with is probably doing 50% more than she should. And she has no idea. No idea.
Yeah. No, I agree with you. Like when you said that, like that just touched, I was like, yes, I remember that, because it's one of those things where you're like, when you look at like social media, take social media, for example, it's like, you have to figure out like which channels resonate with your audience and where your audience is, because it takes a lot of time. Like
a lot of
content, like to create the content, to create the creative, to schedule the posts, to post them, to do all that stuff. And I think that, I was sort of in that mindset when I first started, like, oh, I got to have the blog. I got to have all the social channels. So when you said that, I snickered, because I was like, yep, that was me.
Because we all have FOMO. We all, I mean, and part of it is who we are comparing ourselves to, right? So we're looking at the Amy Porterfields and the Marie Forleos, and we're looking at the big name entrepreneurs out there, and we're thinking, that's who I want to be. That's who I need to be. If I'm going to call myself an entrepreneur, that's where I need to head. Most women don't need, want, or can even handle a business like that. Amy Porterfield has like 20 full-time people working for her. Do you want all that responsibility? I don't. I already raised kids. I don't need to start over with all that responsibility. So I think part of the problem that gets us into the overwhelm, into the spinning, into the, spreading ourselves too thin, is unrealistic expectations created by the online marketing gurus, who are mostly men, right? Because let's face it, men can hire a team. And frankly, most of them are offloading most of the other stuff to a wife or girlfriend. I don't have a wife or a girlfriend. I am the wife or girlfriend. I have to do all, whether it's pet care, child care, house care, neighborhood, dealing with the parents, dealing with the faith community, all of that stuff still in 2021 is the responsibility of the woman. So we have two jobs even when we only have one business.
Right. Yeah.
The second shift is all of that other stuff. So
and the third.
Yeah. And so, I mean, how many women do you know that work full time, have a business that they're developing as a side hustle, and they do 100% of the child, home, and family care? It's not, the expectations are unreasonable.
Exactly.
Then we have these online marketing gurus telling them be everywhere and hustle and grind. It's like, well, you know, I think I just need someone to teach me how to function without sleeping. Then I could do it. How about that?
If I just don't go to sleep,
right?
Then I can just be up all the time, doing everything.
And then we feel guilty. Then we feel guilty if we do less, even if someone gives us permission to do less. That's so much of what I do as a coach and consultant is give women permission to do less. First thing we do, you asked me about my process. The first thing we do is we do a deep dive into their personal and business values.
Interesting.
Because if your personal and business values, like I know a little bit about your business values are balance and purpose, first and foremost, right? So if your business values begin with balance and purpose, and you are over-committing, over-delivering, overextended, you're not having balance and purpose. So where do we need to start making changes? And it can really come down to a little bit of an identity crisis, because most women believe they're supposed to be everything to everyone. And when you start dialing back on that, what comes up is guilt and shame. And then we have to deal with that.
Oh, so I love that you just said that, because that's so true. And obviously, you know it as a therapist, because when you said that, I thought about the feelings wheel.
Yes.
And the very first time that I got introduced to it by my therapist, when I went in and said that I was overwhelmed. And then when we kept going through the cause, and at the root, the feeling is that basically was being afraid.
Yes.
And I was like,
what?
I'm not
fearless.
afraid.
Who are you talking
to? And I was like, what? I was actually like offended. And then she said, no, she's like, but what are you afraid of? And I was like, well, I'm afraid to let people down. Like, I have so many balls in the air. People are counting on me at work. People are counting on me at home. And I don't want anybody, like, if I can't let anything drop. And then in that moment is where I realized that there was a problem. I was like, there's a serious problem here. But there are so many other women. There are women out there that are just feeling this way.
Yes.
I mean, I think about like not having children and just having a fur child, that I'm like, oh my God, like, what if there were like some little people around here that were like counting on me to like feed them and do stuff.
Wait, hold up. Do you clean up poop?
Oh yeah.
Do you feed, water, and bathe? Do you have trips to the doctor? Okay. You are a parent.
Now you are
a parent.
Yes.
You are.
Yes. And there's the attention, the attention that's needed. Like as soon as I start working, where the head comes in, it's like, mama, see me, mama, do something, play with me. So those have to be very interesting conversations that you're having. And how do you help women to sort of, I guess, overcome that? Because that feeling of like, oh my God, I can't like not be working right now. Like, I'm just going to watch TV.
Yeah.
Like,
It starts with, I was a therapist for over 20 years before I certified and trained as a coach and eventually a master coach. So I have been working with women with these type of problems in a variety of situations for many, many years. And I would say the most common scenario I see is that women expect too much of themselves because society has taught us to. We're not trying to be martyrs. We're not trying to be saviors. We're not trying to be Wonder Woman. But there's no doubt that over the last few decades, that the role of women and the demands on women have continued to increase, while the roles and demands on men have stayed the same. In a way, like men are supposed to be more sensitive. They're supposed to be more thoughtful. They're supposed to be more romantic. But those are behaviors you can master on a weekend retreat. Women, on the other hand, we're supposed to be partners, wives, mothers, daughters, sisters, friends, bosses, and all the things. So there's role strain is one of the number one causes of women feeling exhausted, depleted, frustrated. And what's really interesting to me, Kyra, is that most of the time they don't say it's because I'm doing too much or it's because the expectations on me are unfair. They don't express anger or frustration or resentment until they get to the point of burnout. When you get to the point of burnout, when your spouse, your kid, your dog, your neighbors, your clients, everybody is the enemy, and you just want them all to get the hell away from you.
Go away.
But on up to that point where you're stretching yourself, and that is just keeps on ratcheting up throughout that whole process. We're blaming ourselves, and we're thinking the whole time, I need to get my act together. I need to be more organized. I need to, be
I need
more
to get
focused.
up earlier.
Yeah, I need to get up earlier.
I need to get up even earlier.
I need to get up earlier. I need to be more efficient. I need to be more productive. I need to be more focused. I need to be less distracted. I basically need to be better at doing too much. And that's what they think they're hiring me for, to help them be better at doing too much. And I don't want to be a party to that because the system is rigged as it is. Also, when women start working for themselves, I like to say that what made you employee of the month, it will destroy you as an entrepreneur, because being employee of the month means catering to other people's demands and expectations, always being the one to, what's the expression? Go above and beyond. That is absolutely a recipe for burnout. If you are the person who always says yes, who always gets recruited, who always volunteers, who is known in the company for going above and beyond, for over delivering, you're going to have a permanent place on the employee of the month wall. You take that with you. Yeah, I see you. I see you. You take that with you into entrepreneurship. You're not going to last 5 years.
That's true.
You might not last 5 months.
Yes. That is,
can't do it.
Yeah. That is so, that's very true. I think women don't think about that because we're often,
we drank the Kool-Aid.
We do. And what we believe, because I'm gonna say this because this is real life. This example for myself, like this is, you believe at this one point, when you're in your career, that if I work hard, if I volunteer, if I help out, if I pitch in, that, they will notice, right? They will help me. They will, help me to grow in my career. Someone will take note, but no, it's not really, it's not that. I mean, that's a rude awakening. And it's a very tough moment when you come to that point that no, they're just going to take advantage of you. Like they're going to just keep using you, so to speak, because you're doing the thing that they need you to do.
Yeah.
And, but it's under the guise of like, oh yeah, she's a star player. We know we can count on her. She's so dependable. And oh, I even had somebody at work say, she's like the historian. She knows all the information. I was
Yeah,
like,
and
no.
here's the thing, like we cooperate with that because of the way girls are raised differently from boys. Like if there's
Yeah.
2 cookies left on the plate and a little boy jumps up and grabs them both, we're going to say boys will be boys. If a little girl goes up and grabs them both, we're going to slap her hand and tell her not to be greedy. So I think it's part of the what I call feminine conditioning that we are taught: be nice, be friendly, let other people go first, always lead with praise, don't take up too much space, don't be too opinionated, and all that. All of those conditions that we place on women will not serve you well in entrepreneurship because we are so accustomed to being exploited by our employers that when we start working for ourselves, we set things up so that our clients and even our team members exploit us. We don't even know it. And then we think we're doing something wrong. It's like, no, you've been duped, girl.
Yeah. I was going to say, actually, too, I know definitely for myself, like being an entrepreneur has really helped me in my everyday job because it's like there's a different type of confidence that you have when you know that you have something. Like, I'm like, really? Like, this is what y'all doing? Because let me tell you what I'm doing over here.
Yeah.
Like, and it's like, and it's like you have this different set of expectations, right? And I'm like, well, they can't live up to my expectations. So I'm going to rock this. I'm going to do, I'm never going to like not do a great job and put my best foot forward because that's just who I am. But at the same time, when you step out into the entrepreneur life and you know that what you're doing is like purposeful, you respond to those things very differently.
You are so right. And you know what? It's because, think about it, Kyra. When you start your own business, you created something from nothing. And as an act of creation, you created this company that did not exist. You gave it a name. You made it happen. You started attracting people. You established a value. You're creating a community. All of that, those are building generative actions that we normally historically have associated with men. Like men go out and build things in the world and women stay home and tend to home and family. So when women start building things, and an online business is just as much a building experience as building a house or an office building. It's all the same steps. I think one of the reasons why you're so much more confident when you work for yourself is that you have acquired the habit of betting on you. You're not asking someone to believe in you. You're not asking someone to grant you permission or give you their acceptance or approval. You're giving yourself those things and taking action from that perspective. And that absolutely generates confidence, even if all those decisions don't work out.
Yeah. And I think that, like even with someone coming to you, and coming to get coached by you, like you're taking a first step, right? And I think that also like plays into like the building of confidence because it's like, wow, like I took this step. Whereas guess what? Let's just be honest. A lot of men aren't out there like going to, get coached. They're going, to how do I get to the executive level, but they're not like out there trying to like find someone to help, like taking that first step, entrepreneur. I've got a lot of ideas. Like I've got so much going on. Someone help me. Like that's a first step to the next, to the rest of your life, in my opinion.
You are very right. You're very right. And I also think that taking that first step, I'm sure you wouldn't be surprised. A lot of people have been thinking about it for weeks, months, even years. Once they make that step, I always do a free 30-minute consultation with anyone who's considering hiring me because they're choosing me, but I'm also choosing them. It needs to be the right fit. So the first step, when they hire me, they've already set something in motion They've already made a commitment to themselves and an investment in their business.
Mm-hmm.
And lots of times positive changes start happening at that moment before we've even had our first coaching call. It's fascinating because they made that decision, because they took that. It's almost like that starts to get them unstuck even before we begin to do the work, because it puts that energy into the world.
Right. And then also too, like when someone comes to you and they may have more than one idea, or they may be someone that's trying to be all things to all people. Cause that's spinning in my opinion. You're just sort of spinning, but what does that look like? You know, how do they feel when they get to that sort of breakthrough of saying, oh, you're right. I need to be in this place, and I don't feel guilty. I feel like I've made the right choice for my business.
We have to change their thoughts. And because I did cognitive behavioral therapy for a lot of years, and I find that it is the most effective. It's considered kind of the gold standard in the mental health community. And cognitive behavioral therapy basically states that our thoughts, it's not our circumstances that determine how we feel. It is our thoughts about those circumstances and what feelings those circumstances generate. For example, if your circumstance is that you are working for a boss that you consider to be a micromanager, your thought may be, my boss is a jerk, or I hate how my boss is always up in my business, or my boss, I can't stand my boss, or this is a terrible job. But the reality is that your thoughts about your boss's micromanagement may not occur to someone else doing the same job. Someone else doing that exact same job with that exact same boss may have different thoughts, like, wow, this boss is really conscientious and really cares about every detail of their business. Now, when you're having the thought that my boss is a micromanager and they're making me crazy, you're going to feel exhausted, frustrated, resentful, anxious. But if you're thinking that your boss is very meticulous and really committed to the business and your success, you might even feel relaxed and grateful. So it's not the circumstances, it's the thoughts. So when someone tells me that I'm exhausted, I feel fed up, I'm almost thinking about closing this business, I don't know what to do, I'm stuck at this level, but I want to grow, I'm disorganized, all of those are their thoughts. And sometimes they'll even tell me that they're lazy.
Wow.
And I will say, I will prove to you that that is not true.
Exactly.
Because you're doing a lot, but you have this idea that it's not enough. Maybe it's actually too much. So we dig into their thoughts. We look at their values for their personal life and their business. We look at their specific goals. We look at their expectations. We look at what gets them to take action. Some people are so focused and so driven and so organized, they will just make a list of things for themselves and they'll just work their way down the list. And when they get to the end of the list, boom, they're done. Those people are rare. I think they're not actually human, in my opinion. Most of us are obligers, which means we take action because other people expect it. This is the majority of people. It's also the majority of women. So when what gets us to take action is the expectations of others, then we need to be very careful about who we have in our life creating those expectations.
Exactly.
And so we dig into that, like, who are your customers? Tell me about your team members. Oftentimes what I find is that, so for example, a woman that I'm working with right now, she has a very successful business and she's building a second one. But she has a belief that when she is not in the business, that her employees think she's not working and she feels guilty. Now, this is fascinating to me because she's not an employee in her business. She is the CEO and owner, but she has this idea that her employees need to see her in the business working to believe that she's working. And I thought, you're the owner. What do you have to prove to them? So what we identified is that she has guilt feelings about when she doesn't appear to be working, even if she is. We have to make some adjustments around her expectations and how accountable she feels to other people's expectations. And what I told her is we need to develop your CEO mindset, because you are not thinking like the boss.
Right.
You are thinking like you're one of the employees. And no wonder you're having some difficulties with some of your strong-willed employees. If you don't feel like a boss, they won't see you as one. Okay. Well, I hope you will check out the Driven Woman podcast, because I think it's a lot of fun and I think it would be appeal to your audience as well. I am active on Facebook, LinkedIn, and Instagram, but I really need some more love on Instagram. It's where I'm spending most of my time and growing that channel. And we just kept cracking each other up and coming back for more. You are my kind of gal.
Awesome. And I'll also put the links to all of these locations in the show notes, so it will be easy for you all to find it. Well, Diann, thank you so much for joining today. It's technology has been fighting us today, but it was worth it. Take care, my friend. I'm sure we will be talking again real soon. Everyone stay tuned. I'll be right back.